All right, welcome back to Beyond Mortgage. I'm Dan Trinidad, and today I have the one and only Jason Frazier. Jason is the Chief Strategy Officer for Equity Prime Mortgage. He's a podcast host for Next Level Loan Officers, where he's a speaker, he writes, he's the marketer. And Next Level Loan Officers is really about advanced loan officer training and coaching. Welcome, Jason.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to finally meet you. I've been like I told you before, we started recording. Been seeing you a lot on Facebook, and your name seems to be popping up everywhere, which is really cool. It's not a lot of people get that well known in our industry, and it seems like you've really taken advantage of social media and podcasting. So
Yeah.
maybe you could start off telling us a little bit about how you evolved and got into the mortgage space and
hmm
how your careers blossomed from there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. It's a funny story. So my being in mortgage was the last thing that was on and I think that's the story for everybody, right? Nobody's like gets out of school or college and be like, I'm going to be in the mortgage industry.
Yeah.
It's generally because a friend drags them into it or a family member or whatever. For me, it was family. I was born into the mortgage industry. And for those of that follow my content, I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing the story, but I like the story because it I think it sets the foundation for why I'm so passionate and driven to see this industry succeed. And I was born in the mortgage industry. Literally 3 days after I was born, I was in a baby carrier on my mom's desk. My mom was at a mortgage company. She at the time that I was born. Um, I believe she was running operations at that time. She ended up becoming the president and CEO of Mason McDuffie Mortgage, which is a family company for me, still around today, and she's still the president and CEO. But she was the first woman CEO of a major
Yeah.
mortgage firm in the United States. And so, I was born into it, and my entire time growing up, seeing my mom work in the industry, do what doing what she did, and every time she told me, she's like, Jason, do not get into the mortgage industry. She's like, I don't want you following in my footsteps. I don't want you being in the mortgage industry. So you know what? You always listen to your mom. So I didn't, right?
So
So
you
I went
jumped.
and I decided not to do that, right? But obviously that didn't hold so well as most times when you don't follow your parents' advice. Um, but this is one time that I'm glad I didn't listen to my mom. And so, my path was in technology, venture capital. I worked for Peter Thiel, who was the founder of PayPal.
Wow.
IT and technology is where I came up. I'm a former Cisco network engineer. That's my world. That I didn't think I was going to do anything else. I wanted to be the best ever. I wanted to be the best network engineer. I wanted the best known technologist. That was my career path. So in 2009, that's when I, took a sabbatical. I was just burnout, and so I didn't need to work for a while if I didn't need to, just because the Silicon Valley was kind to me. And at that time, that lasted for about 2.5 weeks before I got bored out of my mind playing golf and doing nothing really. And so I decided to consult and for my family's company, and they needed help. They were trying to do something different in the industry. They wanted their technology improved and whatever. So I said, sure, why not? So I consulted for about 6 months, and then I joined the company full time because I thought it would be cool to work for my mom. I actually worked with my mom, but I ended up reporting to somebody else because she didn't want me reporting directly to her, because we didn't want the whole nepotism thing to come in and whatnot, because you know how it is in the industry when you have your kids working with you and stuff like that. So, and also I wanted people to know, like, hey, I did my own thing. Like I created a success for myself outside of working in mortgage. And but this was just to me, it was a good opportunity. And I honestly thought I'd be there for like 2 years just to get to know the industry and do something different, and then go back to technology startups or venture capital. And here we are, and that was in 2009, and now we're going into 2021. So obviously I decided to stay. And so I was the CIO, the chief information officer for Mason McDuffie. I also served as the chief marketing officer and the chief strategy officer, and actually held all those roles at the same time. And I had 27 people report to me. I all onboarding, recruiting, human resources, technology, marketing, all of that rolled up underneath me, and it gave me a lot of good experience. I got some good experience with different operations within the company. In 2018, I decided to go out on my own and do my own thing, which was mortgage. I really got an affinity for marketing around 2015, 2016. And so I focused on that, started doing marketing consulting and training and coaching in 2018. Then I, went and consulted for a few companies, and bounced around a little bit, and then I joined Cardinal Wholesale, CF Wholesale, at the end of 2019, and here we are, about 8 months after that. I got an opportunity to get back at an executive role and really get a chance to have a seat at the table and help a mortgage company grow, one that had a vision for being different, had a vision for wanting someone that's a little bit of a disruptor and goes against the grain of what the industry is used to. And I found that with EPM and Eddie Perez. And so, I joined them a few months ago, and that's where we are today.
Holy cow. So, w- what's your mom's name?
Marilyn Richardson.
Okay. All right. That's what I was thinking. So, um, they're one of the few companies that have been around longer than me.
Eight, yeah, 1887. They're one of the oldest mortgage companies in the country. Yeah.
Yeah, we started in '88, and there aren't a lot of companies that started in the '80s that are still
No.
standing or still
Yeah.
look the same,
Yeah.
which is really cool. And you had held a huge role. So, is you say a family business? So, did your family start Mason McDuffie?
No, no, they just became owners in it
Okay.
because yeah, so no, there wasn't family ties all the way back to the beginning, but it became a family company and it's still ownership today. We've had a lot of family work in at Mason McDuffie throughout the years. And I grew up with a lot of those people, and the people that are still there, our CFO, our EVP of capital markets. These are guys that I played, as a kid, played Legos in their offices and stuff. Our former chairman was he was the former, past president of the NBA, and so I grew up with these guys as being a brat, kid, running around doing stuff. So so they're like family, even though they're not related by blood. But I grew up with all these guys.
You grew up and then you became their boss.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so, so, what did mom say when you decided to venture on?
My mom, it's funny. My mom has always been about me doing what is best for me. And I know it's a lot for hard people, but I think at Mason McDuffie, I think one thing that even with me trying to say like, hey, I did my thing before I got here, I think nepotism to me was a little bit of a thing. I had people would make comments, be like, oh, it must be because I do my thing, right? And this,
Hmm.
and don't
Hmm.
don't ever question my work ethic or how I do stuff, because I'm 24/7, right? And so I'd have people, because I'd have my shoes off, had my legs up, and I'm reading a book on my couch in my office, but they didn't know that I'd been at work since 2 o'clock in the morning, doing stuff, and they'd be like, oh, it must be nice being like
Yeah.
and I know they're just joking, and some of them, maybe a little passive aggressive, but still, it's like, to me, it's like I was never going to get rid of that rep, right? And so to me, I thought it was important for me to go out and do my own thing, and to show like, hey, I think for me, now that I'm looking back at the time, I was like, it was something new, but I think as I look back, it really was driving me as like, look, yes, I'm doing it here, and yes, I'm working with my mom, but she'll tell anyone that knows my mom will tell you that if I was not carrying my weight, if I was not doing, because my mom, she's a very nice lady, she's very nice, but she is a business person. She is a business professional, and if you're not carrying your weight and you're not doing what you need to be, she would have fired me. I will guarantee you, and she'll tell
She's
you,
probably even a little tougher on you
oh yeah, I mean,
than
yeah,
anybody else. My son's working for me,
yeah,
and when I take a hard look, I have bigger expectations,
oh,
and
absolutely,
because of
yeah.
what you're saying, I don't want people saying anything about him. I want him to earn his way and
Exactly. Yeah.
not be given.
Totally right. And so yeah. So I went out, and she's always been supportive of me. She was sad that I was going, because I was one of the executives. I was one of the
Yeah.
people that were driving the company. But at the end of the day, I needed to do what was in my heart to do, and what I was interested in. And she's always 100%. And honestly, now I technically work for a competitor of theirs, right? And
Right.
so there is some crossover.
Not recruiting from her though, probably.
No, no, I could never. Yeah, no, no. There's only so far. I mean, yeah, it's business, and I'm sure she would understand it. But like, no, she's always been a great resource for me. I still talk to her and ask for advice, even with what I'm doing at EPM, even though we're a competitor. So I still talk to her because she is, and that's one thing is that I've been so blessed, and I think one of the advantages that I did have in the mortgage industry for my mom, and not just because she was my mom, but my mom did it the hard way. She came up as a woman in a man's industry. We all know back in the 70s and even
For
today,
sure.
but 80s, 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, this was a man's world. And she started as a receptionist. She's done every single job. There is not one position at a mortgage company other than maybe IT and marketing. There is no other. She could sit at the desk of a closer, of a shipper, of a processor. She's a DE underwriter for that fact. She's licensed. She's an originator. There's not one position at the mortgage company that she could not do. And so that's my advantage is I have a resource that I could always talk to and ask questions of, and I know she's going to give me the answer, and I know it's not going to be it's going to be based on expertise, right? And actual being a practitioner and doing these roles, not just because, she just became CEO one day. It's because she came up in the school of hard knocks and did every
She's
position to get
been
there.
through it all. She
Yep.
is.
Yep.
I feel like I have, and yeah, I mean, yeah, she's seen all the market. She saw dot com come
Mm-hmm.
and go. She's seen the growth of technology. So you were in venture capital and you worked in technology. Were you in the Silicon Valley?
Yeah, yeah.
You
So I
actually
worked in Palo Alto and San
okay?
Francisco. Couple company like I consulted for LinkedIn back in the day. That was one of the PayPal guys, Reid Hoffman, and then Palantir, which is a pretty popular company now. Does data modeling. Just Google it, you'll see it. So
Yeah,
I worked
yeah.
with those guys, and I was and again another just blessing in my life because these guys, the people that created Facebook and YouTube and all these other Yammer and Facebook, everything that we use today is just kind of a given and has really shaped our culture. I was blessed to work along side of these guys and be a sponge, right? It's not like, whenever I tell this story, I don't tell it like, yeah, I was in the inner circle and I was driving to sit. No, I was just a guy doing my job, but I got a chance to be around some of the greatest minds, in my
Heck yeah.
opinion, and in our generation, and be a sponge and see how they think, what it's truly to be like a contrarian, not just because you think differently, but because you truly understand the landscape and see the whole board and the different opportunities you have. So again, that was just a great opportunity, and I think if anyone ever gets an opportunity to be around some great leaders and great minds, just to don't try to do anything other than just be a sponge and learn
Yeah,
from what they
no
do.
kidding. Wow. So coming from that world and being a little bit in VC, what do you see the mortgage industry? Where's the opportunity? What do you? I don't want you to have to give away any secret sauce, but you see the world from a couple different
Yep.
perspectives, and being a contrarian, probably in that space. What do you see for the mortgage industry?
Yeah, so I think, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's what I talk about. It's what I post about all the time. Is like I have a unique perspective because I didn't, even though I came in at 2009, I didn't go in the 2000s. I didn't go through the golden era, so to speak, of mortgage to getting to the financial. I came in right after the financial crisis, right after NMLS licensing became a thing. Like I came in right when basically the new era of mortgage happened. So I wasn't I don't want to say I wasn't my perspective wasn't died in that, right? Like I came from
Okay.
high tech. So when I got to mortgage, I saw a great opportunity because I looked at the technology, I looked at everything that they were doing, and I said, "Holy crap! How is this?" I feel like I went back in time. I feel like I'm at
No
it.
tech.
I feel like I'm back at Safeco Insurance in like the late '90s. It's like you got mainframes going on and stuff like that, like dot matrix printers. We got a freaking typewriter. You guys are using a typewriter for documents. Are you kidding me? Like how is this possible? So I saw a great opportunity because look in the mortgage industry, I would like to say I'm unique. I have some special abilities because of my background. background in where I came from, I was just another person. There was a million Jason Fraziers. There's a million people that do what I do,
Yeah, but
right?
being a sponge.
Yeah, but in mortgage, I saw an opportunity to make a name for myself. I always had drive to be the best at whatever it is I happen to be doing. So I saw a lot of opportunity there. I saw that that Mason McDuffie wanted to be different, that wanted to do things in a different way, and they knew that I had the background to do modern technology and implement it. And so I got in there and just started creating. And fast forward to today, the way that I see the landscape is one is if you look at the last decade, if you truly, and it's hard, right? I get it from a loan originators. You've been in this business for 20 years or 10 years, whatever it is, right? But I'm going to tell you right now that from 2000 to 2010, it does not matter, right? And I'm not taking away from what you did. I'm not taking from the work. And when I say this, I always get some people coming back at me with, thinking that I'm trying to say that what they did didn't matter. What I mean that it didn't matter is that the world that we're living in today did not exist in 2000 to 2010, and that's the one thing that people just can't seem to get their head around is the way that we think that the way that the mortgage business should be done is that the way that the consumer thinks that the mortgage industry should be done, and not understanding that why we were just continuing to have typewriters and things like of that nature. Understand that we're trying, like, and this is the phrase that I say all the time, like the industry or consumers want the Amazon experience, and the mortgage industry has been trying to give them Windows 95, right? We've been trying to do that for the entire, and it doesn't work that way. Now some mortgage lenders have decided to to up their game as far as like branding, consumer experience, machine learning, artificial intelligence, like the Loan Depot and Movement and Guaranteed Rate, giving that web experience. There's some of those companies that have decided that they really want to go in. Again, I'm sure others do it as well. I'm just going the ones that really have put out a good Quicken, obviously being the biggest one. So the way, if you look at the last decade and you're not romantic about the way things used to be, is understand is that there's been massive disruption, but we invited it. We decided a long time ago that the status quo was okay. We decided a long time ago that if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? And yes, those terms can make sense in certain situations, but you got to understand that what drives the mortgage market for lenders as far as production goes is consumerism. And if the consumer decides that you're not valuable, if the consumer decides that the market needs to shift to where your commission gets cut, or that that they'd rather do stuff online and not go to an office and not meet face to face with the person, if the consumer decides that's the way they're going to do business, then guess what? That's the way we're going to do business, right? There's no industry that push back to consumers ever,
Right. Right.
ever, in any industry, any vertical, to where they push back and the consumer's like, oh, I guess we're going to do it your way. No, it doesn't, unless it doesn't exist. But that's the thing, is it does. You can go online with lenders and never meet somebody. You can do everything digitally. You can do all these different things. And so when the consumers decide that's the way we need to roll, then that's the way we need to roll. And that's the thing, is we can't be romantic about what we feel is going to be. But the thing is that there's an opportunity with that, is there's a way to meld both worlds together. the and this is going to sound absolutely ridiculous to a lot of people, but COVID, I think, was one of the best things to happen to
I
the
agree.
industry for different reasons, right? And yes, it's hard, like, let's just be real. Yes, it's not, I'm not saying COVID was just great. Yeah, I'm glad that a pandemic happened. No, what I'm saying is that it forced the industry to stop dragging its feet on a lot of different
No
areas,
question.
and then having to do Zoom calls, having to learn how to use Skype, forcing municipalities to embrace e-closings and things of that, like things that we had to drive-by appraisal, things that we had to modernize at some point. But this is, we just couldn't have the industry to stand still, right? And we're having record years because a lot of people adapted and shifted. But even with that being said, people are still saying, well, we got to do this and we got to do, going back. And I remember back, and it's like, look, as soon as someone starts off, well, I remember back, then I kind of tune out, because it's a great
It's
story,
irrelevant.
but it's irrelevant to what we need to be doing as an industry today. But another reason why I say it's a benefit is because I truly believe, yes, this is a relationship business, regardless of the online, regardless of modernization. I still think it's a relationship business. Absolutely. But one of the good things about the pandemic is now that we've had been forced into that digital ecosystem, without any alternatives, like we have to be, like social distance, not going to conferences, not and having to do webinars, and everyone's like, virtual event, they're all tired of that. There's fatigue. That one-to-one connection now, the people that really kept the relationship but also modernized the experience but kept that belly to belly, face to face somewhat, those are the people that are going to inherit the earth. Those are the people that are going to have no problem getting the business in the next decade, because look, this isn't going away anytime soon. There is going to be, I know people hate saying, I hate it too because of the way that it's been phrased, but there is going to be a new normal. Guess what? There was a new normal during the financial crisis, right? Guess what? The dot-com bubble, the dot-com renaissance and the dot-com bubble bursting both created a new normal.
That's right.
9/11 created a new normal. Whenever there is a huge hit and shift in way people react socially, culturally, there's a new normal, right? It doesn't mean that, we're living in hazmat suits, but what we're saying is that consumers are going to act different. They're going to think about how they spend their money differently. They're going to think about where they live differently. They're going to think about what's important to them in a house differently. There's always going to be some new normal. It doesn't mean it has to be some extreme political, punching bag left or right. It just means there's going to be change, right? Like that's everything
Absolutely.
that's going to happen. And so that's where I think this has been the biggest benefit, because it's shown the people who could adapt, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so happy to be here at EPM, because EPM didn't skip a beat. Why other lenders ran away from things, why other lenders pulled back, and I'm not saying they weren't right in doing it, but what I'm saying is that EPM held the course. They held the course. They were here for, for brokers that lost their pipeline. They were here for originators. They didn't change their credit scores or anything else. They were here to help and be a part of the community, because they knew, through the leadership that they knew that things weren't going to be as dire as what everyone
Mm,
else thought as a knee-jerk reaction. Right now, putting that all together, it showed the people who had forethought. It showed the people that were able to go outside of that status quo box, and it showed that, the people that really could merge that experience digitally, and then the relationship piece, and so that people are craving that human connection now, craving that, because now that they were forced into not having it, because as humans we need that connection. Now there's been some good people that have been able to merge those two together, and those are the people that are having no problems doing business, having no problems getting referrals, having agents come to them, not the other way around, because of this. They've
absolutely.
mastered that.